Welcome to Workstyle Stories, because life changes and every life is different. This week, I'm talking to Fergus. Hello, Fergus. Welcome to
Hi.
Stories.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good, very good, thanks. And we're going to be talking about all things family and work fitting around life, and obviously, and the kind of the culture of the PR agency landscape, I guess, a little bit as well, perhaps today. So before we get into all of that good stuff, Fergus, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where you are in the world.
Sure. Okay. I am a publicist. I've been a publicist my entire life, ever since I left school. I'm very honoured to currently be Hoxby's PR, part of Hoxby's amazing communications team. But I also work on PR clients through Hoxby and as a freelancer externally.
And you've been freelancing for quite a long time, right?
Oh yeah, gosh, about 12 years now, I think. Yeah,
so
quite a long time.
And what made you do that? Like, why did you go freelance 12 years ago?
Oh God, well, do you know what? I started work in music PR, music and entertainment PR.
Okay.
And way back in like 2002, there was a massive industry-wide cull. You know, everybody's permanent job just didn't exist anymore.
Right.
So partly it was the nature of the work. You know, a lot of contracts. You know, there was a lot of contract work or project-based work rather than full-time salaried jobs within that space. Secondly, the nature of the sort of publicity that I do kind of quite often meant that it was you know, based around a project or an activation or an event or a festival or something. Yeah. So you know, so the team would be hired. Thirdly, in PR, just to kind of keep yourself fresh, it's sometimes nicer to just, you know, I mean, if you can get freelance work, it's sometimes nicer to just do that rather than kind of get stuck in a rut. You know, I remember once when I was in a hiring situation, when I was in, you know, my boss said to me, "Oh God, don't look at anyone's CV if they've been stuck somewhere for 5 years, because they'll be, you know, they'll just be so same old, and you know, they won't be able to think freshly and everything." And you know, I mean, for better or for worse, but you know, I think there were a lot of preconceptions in the industry about who you were and what you could do if you had too much, you know, if you'd been in one place too long.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting, and it is an interesting industry for freelancing, because it's the way you're talking about it, it's almost
like awful.
Freelancing actually is more the aspiration or the kind of best in class for what you do, and I think, you know, in a lot of lines of work that's not necessarily the case. But so as a freelancer in the PR world, how has it been for you? So what have your experiences been as a freelancer, and in particular sort of culturally working with agencies, and you know, have there been any kind of memorable events for you that have kind of shaped the way you think about work?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's hard. It's a hard slog as a freelancer in PR, because you know, nobody ever gets in the freelancer to do the job that they want to do themselves. You know, they get them in because, you know, suddenly am I allowed to swear? Suddenly, you know, like
not really.
Suddenly there are challenging times, and you know, they need to pull something out of the bag. So you know, I mean, no client willingly spends extra money to bring in extra staff if their own staff can do it themselves. So essentially, you go into a situation and it's all on you half the time.
Okay.
I actually like the detachment. You know, I like the fact that there's no office politics and there's no management expectations and, you know, whatever. I like the fact that I'm going in with a problem and I need to find the solution, and you know, and that sort of does it for me. But it is, you know, it's not without, you know, it's not without its own level of stress. And you know, historically, the freelancers are the ones that work the hardest, really, because you know, you sort of can't, unless you're hideously unprofessional, you can't really step away from the problem until the problem's fixed. which always means that you invariably end up doing extra hours and
so
not being able to fill for them. And
yeah, that's difficult. So how do you find do you find you get treated differently then? So in terms of the expectation and the kind of when you're going to work and what you're going to be expected to do then?
Yeah, I mean, you do. But I mean, I've got a bit of a reputation in the industry for doing what I do, I suppose. So I guess for better or for worse, they know they're getting me.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it is hard. That you have to be quite tough and you have to be quite vocal and you have to push for things, and you need to have the courage to just be able to get up and leave, because otherwise you'd be sleeping at your desk half the time. I mean,
so talk to me about your lifestyle now, and what was so you've kind of changed your attitude, your
my
outlook.
entire life. I know.
So talk to me a little bit about what the catalyst for that change, and then we'll talk about kind of what your life is like now. So what was it that happened that made you change, the way you look at work and the way you work?
Sure. So it was the 17th of April, 2017, aka Easter Monday.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Exact moment. So I'd been freelancing for a luxury PR agency, and they brought me in to work on a pitch for a private members club. The pitch
on
was
Easter Monday.
We'd been working on the pitch the week before. They demanded that I came in on Easter Monday to come and rehearse the timings for delivering this pitch. Now, the pitch wasn't due to be delivered until 4:00 on the following day. Right. So there was every reason why we could have done this on the Tuesday morning, or done it an hour before, or, there were lots of other options, but the MD said, no, everybody needs to come into the office, and that's that. My partner's a photographer. Wow. He was offered a job, literally not there. At the time, I had 3 kids. The youngest was about 7 months old. So I had literally no choice but to put them in the car, bribe them with their leftover Easter candy. It was an absolute baking hot day. The roads were half the roads were shut, and I had to basically drive into central East London, and go into the office and leave my children, including a 7-month-old baby, in the car park, and basically watch them out the window whilst we all rehearsed this pitch. Absolutely none of this needed to happen. I've done probably I've delivered maybe 1,000 pitches in my life. There was absolutely no need for this, and completely ironically, we didn't even win the brief, because the client said afterwards that the other agency that was pitching against us responded to the brief in a more organic way, and they liked their free thinking. So it wasn't even worth it. I mean, it literally wasn't even worth it.
I mean, that's a kicker, but I mean, the expectation for you to come into the office on a Easter Monday,
on a public holiday, leave my 3 children in danger.
You've got 3 kids.
In a hot car where you wouldn't even leave your dog, right?
Well, that's just, it's inhumane. It's unthinkable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I'm sure that it's not the only case of something like this happening. But not only in PR, but all over. So I can see how that would be the straw that broke the camel's back, if you like. So what happened after that? What did you do?
So after that, thankfully, Hoxby came into my life via another mum friend who introduced me. But at the time, obviously, I didn't know what Workstyle was. I was just trying to I thought if I can just find some work that I can do from home, then I can take the commute part out of the equation, and that would be, a massive help for me. We would, me and every other self-employed mum, was finding that we were having to call each other up 10 minutes before pickup time and blag favours of can you pick my son up because, I'm still in Hammersmith, or, it was always like that. And I thought, look, you know, whatever the work is, even if I can just take the commuting out of the situation and just be there, and then I don't have to pay for childcare, and you know, so I thought, right, that's great. Obviously, I didn't know what Workstyle was, but now I do, you know, and obviously the fundamental difference between, you know, every other compromise solution like flexible working or working from home or whatever you want to call it, and Workstyle, is that Workstyle is obviously entirely dictated by you, whereas, you know, you could work flexibly, you could work part-time, you can work from home, but your boss will still phone you at 9:30 at night while you're trying to do bedtime, or heaven forbid have a glass of wine with your husband or whatever, and the expectation is still there. But obviously, you know, the difference between working school hours with Workstyle is that you not only are you there for pickup, but then you're done, and you know, you can take the kids paddleboarding, or you can go for an ice cream or something like that, and you're not having to check your phone every 10 seconds, you know. So now that I've discovered it, we've embraced it. So suddenly, now that we've defined our hours, we're like, okay, let's work out what we're going to do with our free time. So we moved out of London. We bought a 15th century house. We have another child. We have 3 dogs. We have 3 rabbits. We've got a boat and an allotment. And, you know, what we do with our spare time is live our lives, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, I mean, it's a great, it's a great situation that you've put yourself into, and I think underneath all that is a motivation to switch emphasis. So, put the needs of your family first, have work fit around that, and as you say, be in command of that, be the people who decide how that happens. But fundamentally, it means doing it around having space, giving your kids, you know, great exposure to, you know, a friendly environment, and, you know, to touch base, to live in the countryside and to fulfill that dream is fantastic, and a real shift from the kind of what sounds like quite a challenging time of competing priorities whilst living in London and kind of working in that traditional pressure cooker of traditional agency working and being the freelancer within that. So it's a really, so in terms of the work that you do now, just for clarity's sake, so is the work that you do now any different to the work that you were doing when you lived in London and when you were working for those agencies?
Absolutely not. And it's quite interesting because, you know, again, there's been you know, thank God for the internet, but, you know, way back, you know, traditionally in London media agencies, not just PR agencies, you know, there was always the preconception that if somebody comes from, you know, from anywhere that's not London, I mean, you know, even from Manchester or something, but, you know, if somebody came from Norfolk, the idea, you know, the preconception is that they haven't been working with national media, you know, they haven't been working with global brands, you know, they've maybe been doing PR for the local fudge shop or something, you know, I mean, like, you know, but obviously that's all changed, and thank God it has, you know. So I'm really grateful that I do work on global brands, and that I do work on, you know, international celebrities, and, you know, I do work on fantastic projects, and, you know, secure national media coverage probably every single day at the moment.
Good on you. So good on you, Fergus.
So, you know, I mean, that's great, but you know, there's no reason why anybody needs to know where I'm based.
That doesn't make any difference, right? It doesn't make any difference.
Really doesn't make any difference. I think I read somewhere though that you're only on the planet for 29,000 days or something. So, you know, why waste them? Why waste them on the tube? Why waste them in a horrible cubicle in an office? Or, you know, why not spend your afternoon on the river like we do?
And that feels like a brilliant way to bring this conversation to a close. Well, thank you, Fergus, for that. I couldn't agree more. Well done for designing the life you've wanted for you and your husband and your family. And long may Workstyle continue to enable that. Good to catch up, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. That was Fergus.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.